Coach.
Where you at?
Talking where?
I'm on the way.
Wait, where are you?
I was inside Mission Row.
I'll be in the office, in your office.
No. We need to be in the core.
Okay.
I'm pulling out the core.
All right, I'm coming out.
All right.
I do like a scout. It was nice that I was bullying somebody.
I know, because it's all-wheel drive. Isn't it nice?
Yeah.
Until you realize that most of the cars that people drive are all-wheel drive, even if
Yeah,
they're
but it's
sedans.
heavy, so if I hit them hard enough, they go flying.
Oh, the heaviness is. Oh, if you ever need to use mine, just take it. It's lowered to the ground. Not that it makes it heavier, but it does. It makes it so that cars lower to the ground, you know.
Hey.
And also,
Just pull
take
one.
Hey. My name's Matt Rhodes. This is not a hit and run. See, now it's legal.
I don't. Okay.
Also, this is gonna sound counterproductive. Take the ram bar off. You know why?
Why?
Because think of it like this. With the ram bar, it kind of has like a bit of a, I don't want to say like an overhang, but like the ram bar with this being all-wheel drive will serve no purpose but to lift you up and over whatever's in front of you, which is a problem when dealing with low cars, because then you just mount the car. Which means that also when they're accelerating into the front of your car, they'll just go under.
You don't want that.
No, definitely not. So, okay, the reason I wanted to talk to you, I had a conversation a couple days ago with Lucas and Alice Watson. Specific to Barrick, because obviously, you know, we all lived in the Polito house.
Yeah.
And one of my concerns was, okay, a lot happened 2 days ago. Number one, I think I'm going crazy.
Why?
Genuinely. I'll explain that after the Barrick stuff.
Okay.
But regarding the Barrick stuff, I don't know if I had ever told you this, and if I didn't, it wasn't that I was holding it back. There's just a million things happening at once.
Sure.
Did I ever inquire about the white feather?
To me?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay. So when you were sick, Barrick had called me over. Again, this was a very long time ago. Barrick had called me over to the like government building or the news building. We were on the rooftop that has like the helipads, you know, like the old bank truck spot, essentially. And this was during the time of everything happening with Faceless, Pestilence, you know, the Four Horsemen stuff that was happening, essentially, right? You were getting very sick, and Barrick. The reason this is, I'm sorry, let me rewind. The reason this was a topic of conversation is obviously because of the announcement regarding Barrick and being a faceless asset.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding when I say this. Remember how Pred had, you know, we were in the meeting room. Were you there with Speedy?
No, but you told me afterwards.
Yes. So, like, when I tell you, it was almost as if it was like a scripted prompt. Like that's how confident Speedy sounded when he said, "Oh yeah, absolutely." He was a part of FaZe Clan, is how he worded it, I believe. But he was never at the meetings. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Um, I I am of the belief that Barrick had affiliation, but not necessarily by choice. And the reason I believe that is because when you were sick and I was having that conversation on the rooftop of that building, the entire conversation we were having was um well, first the conversation was regarding the white feather. And the reason for the white feather was, from my understanding, someone, not just someone, I believe it was I could be wrong in saying this. Edgar
Yeah, it
needed
was.
it.
Yeah.
They needed, I want to say 5, and they either had 3 or 4. And the whole structure of the deal was, again, they needed to locate more. Um, they were aware that you had one from many years prior, and you would be cured of whatever sickness you had at the time. Um, was kind of the long story short. Um, Again, this was during a time where you were very sick. I don't even know, like you could. This may have even been during the time. I don't think it was when you had gone missing. I'm not certain. It was just so long ago. But that conversation concluded, and then we had a separate conversation. In that separate conversation, we he asked that I take the SIM out of my card, and we left it on the other side of the building, walked away, and the topic of conversation at that point transitioned from what we were talking about before to uh, essentially him being provided or given a second lease on life. Um, in the sense that, like, the vibe I was getting was like, what concessions do you make when you feel as though you owe your life to somebody else because they gave you a second lease on life? Um, Now I don't remember the exact specifics, but I'm pretty much going to tell you what I think I would have said in that moment, which is essentially like everyone has a different threshold, right? Like some people wouldn't be able to live with themselves if they did something that was so egregious and so far from the norm, right? But if you had to do things that you otherwise wouldn't do, but they're a drop in the bucket in comparison to like crazy other things. Um, and this was when he was a judge, to be clear. And I know you had mentioned there being a problem, not a problem, but some inconsistencies with him assigning Ling Buddha house arrest
Hmm.
in Grapeseed. Um, and it made me begin to question if those things were sort of directive from the faceless, if that makes sense. But I'm not certain. I'm not certain. I suspect it would have been. How or why, I don't know. Um, but the long story short here is, while he may have had affiliation, I don't think it was in a manner in which he would be doing anything crazy, if that makes sense. It was like he was provided 2 options and he picked the lesser of 2 evils, but not hurting people. Because that's just not Barrick. I don't see Barrick ever doing that. But on a technicality, I do firmly believe and this isn't me just huffing predcopium, do firmly believe he was affiliated. But with the additional knowledge of the fact that he never went to those meetings that Speedy was part of, I don't think his position in PD today is for information. If that makes sense.
I had a similar conversation with Beric where he pretty much said what you said, the whole second lease on life thing. And yeah, there is a possibility where he was forced to do things, right? Forced to be affiliated and forced to work with the Faceless, but best case, he hasn't come forward and said that. He hasn't told anybody. I questioned him directly when he was the judge about that, and he said no.
Well, of course he's gonna say no. What incentive is there to say yeah? I work with this criminal organization that intends on killing people, and I again with this hypothetical here, but I did it on the basis that they spared me, if you will, and additionally provided me an opportunity to now assume this conversation was with you. They potentially provided an opportunity to save your life. How would you feel?
Wait, my life?
Yes, when you were sick.
Yeah.
The whole deal with Edgar and whatnot.
There wasn't anything to do with the Faceless.
How do you know?
Because I gave Edgar a feather. And so did Barrett. And that was all Dr. Smith. There was all some crazy shit that Barrett...
Yeah, but wasn't all of that tied in with each other? Faceless, Pestilence. I remember Snoopy being very clear when I had the conversation with him. It was the Four Horsemen stuff. And it was all tied in.
There was
War,
overlap,
famine.
yeah. There was
death.
overlap. But in terms of the plague and the cure and anything like that, it was all Dr.
How do we know that wasn't some of them working alongside each other?
Listen, I think what you're trying to say...
Why would Barrick work alongside the person who got you sick?
Why would he work with the Faceless?
Second lease at life.
What does that even mean?
I don't know if it had to do with his kidnapping when he had gone missing for a long period of time. I don't know. I didn't get specifics on that. All I know is that I know Barrick is... I know Barrick's character. I know what would be like beyond what Barrick would normally do. And the only chance he would do some of those things would be to help others.
I mean, maybe, right? That's a big maybe. Has anyone... strange question, but has anyone actually talked to Barrick and asked him?
No. I want to. But I haven't seen him.
Because if you're right, you know, if he's back in PD, not for anything Faceless related, just because he wants to be back and do good things, then he should, if you ask him, tell him, he should tell you everything that he's done and all his affiliations with them and those guys. Right? Hypothetically.
Uh-huh.
So, someone needs to ask him.
I agree. Okay, so that all happened, and again, I had this conversation with Alice and Lucas because Barrick went a little crazy joining a fucking cult. Yeah, I will say that. You know, like I haven't spoken to Barrick very much since he potentially lost his mind. So you know, maybe there is something. I don't know. Then, oh gosh. Oh,
Was Beck still employed then?
as far as I'm aware.
Right. Have you
Um,
guys in High Command spoken with BCSO High Command or no?
well, Pred did.
Okay.
Additionally, I did not bring up any of what I just said to you, Lucas, or Alice to Pred because realistically getting people to even like understand what I'm saying. Like you need to have sort of been involved to have the understanding of
Yeah.
people having been sick and again I'm operating under assumption, but my assumption is like my logical thinking behind someone who I know quite well, and why they would stray from norms. Um, then, okay, so before this conversation I had with Lucas and Alice,
Mm-hmm.
I started hallucinating.
What?
Um,
Did someone spike you?
I don't know what happened. I heard it was like a whisper in my ear, and then I was being chased down.
Oh, I had the same thing.
Okay, but it gets worse.
I think I'm just gonna. I'm not gonna drink the water anymore. I think I'm only gonna drink full fat Coca-Cola. Because there's nothing bad for me in that.
Well, honey, we know what happens when you don't drink the water.
What happened, sir?
You're gonna end up pregnant like Nikki.
Wait, is that why Nikki's pregnant?
And she held hands with no protection with Frost.
Damn. What happens if we held hands with no protection?
Well, we do, so nothing clearly. But it gets
Honey,
worse.
I'm pregnant.
Oh my gosh. Wait, congratulations to us? Oh my god, wait.
I'm just kidding, but imagine. That'd be crazy.
Okay, I don't want to get too far off topic. While this was happening,
Yeah.
um I know I'm gonna sound crazy.
When you were hallucinating, is that what you're on about?
Yes. I took out my heavy rifle. I started shooting,
That's okay.
and then I'm not kidding. This happened 3 or 4 times, 2, 3, 4 times. In one of the instances, it was like I came to, and then Baz pulled up in a car and was like, "Are you okay?" DuPont was next to me.
Wait, Sam Bass?
No. Baz Lee. Sorry, my
Oh.
bad. Pulled up in a car. Multiple people saw me do this. They thought I was crazy. And then this is the part that really gets me. I saw Cody, and I I don't know. It it doesn't make sense
Why not?
because there was a note that was left. He was never too close to me. It was like those like stereotypical like mirage scenes in any kind of like movie where like the moment you get close they're gone.
Yeah.
It was like that. But everything else, while I was having whatever mental break this was, oh gosh, everything else felt real. Being chased down, being pushed over, but every time I would look in his direction, I'd see him for a split second, then he'd disappear. And then there was a time where I sort of just I stopped. I stopped chasing because at first I didn't believe it. I would go in the direction that he was, he'd be gone, and then I stopped, and then he was in the same position for an extended period of time. I would look, and then he'd disappear, and then I'd look away, and then he'd appear, and then rinse repeat until he stopped appearing. Except when I went there, there was a note that said, "Dad, wake up."
Like a real note?
Yeah. So that's how my day was a couple days ago. It very much so threw me for a loop.
Well, how do you feel about it?
I don't know how to feel about it. You know how I am when it comes to stuff like this. I will just I will just like shut down and only acknowledge what's in front of me because it's the easiest thing for me to do. Even if it's, I mean, listen, I did this with Flop. I did this with Ziggy. Like anything like that happens, I'll mentally pretend it doesn't even exist unless it's directly in front of me. Because if I do anything but that, like, I know where my mental threshold is. Maybe I thought I did, because after everything that had fucking happened, maybe I don't know where that is anymore. Who knows? I feel like I should. But there was too much that happened that day that, like, I don't know if I even have the means of acknowledging that anymore. Because there was the barrack stuff, there was the whispering in my ear, being chased down, everyone thinking I'm a fucking psycho, unloading in the streets with a class 2, and then the Cody stuff. So, hey, me, I'm mentally sane.
Why? What makes you think you're going crazy?
I saw Cody. What do you mean?
And you think that was real, or you think it was inside your head?
Honey, real people don't just disappear.
Okay, so it was inside your head then. But
Which leads me to believe that I'm going crazy. No one else saw whatever was fucking chasing me.
well, just because something happens inside your head doesn't make it not real.
Hey, how's it going?
And I think you're right. You know, you shut down when things happen. And most of all, I think I'm happy you saw him. It's been a long time. And I don't really know what to take away from this. But if I'm honest, the thing that's pulling on my heart is that this was a good thing for you, and I think, like you said, you shut down. And I think that's why Cody's telling you to wake up. I don't think he was talking about the zombies, honey. You didn't go to the funeral? I don't think you visited his grave since we got back. I don't think me or Cody want you to be dealing with things like this anymore. I think Cody probably wants you to move on. Maybe just didn't know how to say it. I saw him once, you
I don't know. When?
The day of his funeral. I didn't know if it was real either, but it was to me.
I still don't know what to do. It's like in the position I'm in now, it's, I don't know how to explain it, but like nothing seems right. Like moving on sounds equally as bad as doing nothing and just again continuing on with dealing with what's in front of me. It's like I equate those to be identical.
Why do you think
But
moving on is a bad thing?
Because it almost has the impression or like the negative connotation of like not caring. And it's not that I don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. Do I express that I care? No, because that puts it directly in front of me. And that's not me. It's never been me.
Moving on doesn't mean you forget or you don't care anymore. It just means that in this case you'd be doing what Cody would want you to do in accepting that he's gone and he's not coming back and that it's okay to carry on living your life. Doesn't mean you don't grieve anymore. People, me included, grieve a little bit every day for the people we've lost. And that's how we love them. That's how we remember them.
I don't know the worst part in all of this. I think I've gotten too good at like literally suppressing just about everything. I don't know if I'd ever told you this. I think I did. Maybe not in full detail, but did I explain my encounter with Flop up in Grapeseed when the
Yeah.
okay. I don't know if I specifically told you this, but let me take a look at my text with Flop. How far back is this? The general gist of my conversation with Flopper, the context was, I was around during like late shift 2. They needed a panel of people to interview someone who had essentially applied last minute or something for the position of sheriff.
It
I
was
say
Brian.
okay, correct. Except Princess had also, without the context of our relation to Flop was also invited. Flop, from my understanding, when he found out I was going to be there, did not go to the interview or ask questions. But he did send a text, essentially referencing Cody and obviously what Brian had done. And it was almost as if I was I don't want to say shocked, but I had suppressed everything so much that it didn't dawn on me that Brian had done what he did to Cody. Because again, when it happened, obviously I didn't agree, and I didn't like Brian, but it was something that I just, again, blinders on, deal with what's in front of me. So much so, especially over such a long period of time, that it's like I had to be reminded that Brian was the one responsible. And I don't think it, regardless of how I suppress my emotions in all of these situations, it should have never gotten to a point where I had to be reminded via text that Brian was the one. And then there's the obvious. I know I had told you my conversation with Flop once I had left, but point being, I don't like that the way I deal with things makes me forget things in its entirety. Because while, yes, it's easier to deal with, it's also not fair, I think is the way I describe it best. To just forget such big portions of our life. The thing is, I don't know if I don't know if I have it in me to. This is going to sound very bad. Don't know if I have it in me to change that. Like I aside from what happened to me a couple days ago, I'd consider myself a very sane, down to earth person. But I'm beginning to think that the only reason I'm even able to say that is because anytime there's something big, mentally, I pretend it didn't happen. I just continue on. And it's also what allows me to do exactly what I said we would do with Flop and Ziggy and pretend people don't exist. And I don't think you can live a life simultaneously being able to do those things while also maintaining like a fair uh, not understanding, but like I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say aside from, again, it never should have gotten to the point where I was surprised to be reminded by Flop of Brian's involvement with Cody. And essentially, when Flop said it, it was like, and represent my brother. Eh, why? Why was it a text that had to remind me of that? It's not fair to anyone. But I'm beginning to think that I wouldn't be the person I am today mentally if I didn't do that. So now I'm kind of stuck. It's either I continue down this path of ignoring everything bad, like, while yes, it'll be dealt with in the moment, but like moving forward, there's nothing. It's like something in cold storage where unless someone is gonna jog my memory, it's gone. Unless someone's gonna pull that file from cold storage, it's never being brought out voluntarily. I don't like that. But again, I don't know the person I would be if I didn't do that because it's all I've done.
Well, there's only really one way to find out, honey. And using your analogy, the things that are in cold storage are just there. They're cold. And I think if you carry on that way, everything you look back at people or things that have happened, it's all going to be cold. It's all going to be, you're never going to remember the good stuff that way. Like, remember when we went down and had family therapy with Pixie down at the Cassidy Trail?
Uh-huh.
That's a warm memory that I think about a lot. But I think for you, that's probably, until right now, it's locked in some freezer somewhere. It's moving on is about remembering the good stuff and moving on from the bad. Doesn't mean you forget things.
I think it's just easier for me to forget when I do such a good job at, again, putting those blinders on and not paying direct attention to the bad stuff. And as a result, I guess I'm intentionally avoiding situations where it would come back up. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's easier to forget these things when I did such a good job at making sure my attention was focused on something else.
Bullshit, easy.
Like, but like a greater level of attention, specifically, sort of like subconsciously to avoid seeing stuff in my peripheral vision, referencing the bad stuff. Yeah, that's
Cody died over half a decade ago. I think if you are now seeing him and he's telling you to wake up, but I think something's got to change. I think you need to really kind of mull this over, and I think you probably got to take a visit up to Sandy and just think about stuff for a bit. Because if Cody's telling you that, then I think it is time you need to make a change. And I know that's hard because, like you said, it's easy to just put the blinders on and forget things, but I don't know.
I mean, I do agree.
Because if that was real, which I think it is, because it was real to you, I don't think you'd I don't think you'd be okay with your.
Betty, now right now, I'll call you back.
I don't think you'd be okay going forward knowing that Cody's asked you to do that and you're not.
Yeah, but what if I become, not what if I become, but like, what if the consequence of, well, yes, it's specifically in the Cody situation, moving on, but like, what if in this attempt to change how I deal with stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like, what if it contributes to, like, I don't know. I feel like regardless of a situation, I can remove myself from the situation because that's what I'm really fucking good at, is pretending something didn't happen, pretending it has no effect on me, because that's literally what I do, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's not
it's,
gonna
it's
make
what
you
I
a.
do
It's not gonna make
with
you a worse
everything.
person, though. Is that what you're worried about? Or what?
Yes,
In what way?
100%. Well, honey, I'm pretending none of these things have happened because I've done a good job of avoiding it. What if I now have the burden of all of those things moving forward on my mind? I don't know if I'm going to be the same person.
You're not gonna be a different person because you decide to feel more. That's not. That's not how that works. Shit.
Isn't that exactly how that works?
No, you're not gonna be a
Being more
different person.
emotional. Again, I've suppressed all of those things and have done a really fucking good job at it. So much so that again, I'd equate it to having little to no effect on me. And I've done that my whole life. So if I go about doing it a different way moving forward, I need you specifically to call out if and when things seem off about me.
Okay, I can do that. But in return, I think you also need to ask why you started doing this in the first place. Because you've been doing this for as long as I've known you.
I've been doing it for as long as I can remember.
You know why?
It's just easier. It's just easier.
Yeah, but honey, if I'm being straight and honest with you, most people don't do what you do. Most people like cry or shout or sulk. They don't shut down and put the blinders on. Most people who do that I know about or have heard about, had some bad shit happen when and that's what caused it. Did you have anything happen like that?
No, I don't know.
Maybe you should, you know.
I think it's because oftentimes I view things in black and white, and I hate gray area, despite the fact that in the capacity of our job, like, gray area is such a big role, as fucked up as it sounds. And again, it's just easier. It literally is just, and it's always been that way. I feel like I'm in the minority where a lot of people will default to screaming, yelling, crying, whatever. But my default, even as a child, was again just ignoring and continue on as is. And I don't think there is any portion of my childhood that like specifically prompted that. It was, I don't know.
You don't speak about back home much. Never really pushed you on it, but. Like, was it a, a good upbringing? You happy?
Yeah. I say yeah as if it was not, but no, yes, it was fine. I'm not going to sit here and it was phenomenal. I would say average, above average, maybe. Not anything crazy. Nothing crazy happened. And I feel like that's kind of the crazy thing, is that despite me not being able to pinpoint a specific thing that has resulted in me dealing with everything this way, I know it's not typical. And then it sort of dissuades me from having conversations about it, because I know 99% of people aren't going to be able to relate. How many people can sit there and go, I have zero problems cutting a member out of my family pretending they've never existed? I don't think that is very common. But when I tell you it's so easy for me to do, I mean, it doesn't happen often, but I'm not kidding when I say this. I haven't even thought about Ziggy at all. And the only reason Flop has come up is because of the few conversations we've had in between.
Yeah, I definitely think there's not a lot of people who do that or can do that, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It just, I think and again, I don't think it's wrong that you do that, but I think kind of now we're talking about it, maybe you should have, a sit down with Pixie and just try and talk this stuff out with someone who actually knows what they're talking about and not me, To try and, if you're all gonna try and do things differently, it's good to look at why you did things differently in the first place, right? He might be able to help you with it.
I actually do need to speak to Pixie. That actually just you jogged my memory, honey.
I think it's a good thing, We could all use a bit of a professional to talk to every now and then. But
Pixie's one of the few that I trust.
Yeah, she's a good egg.
She's a straight shooter.
Yeah.
Honey, I have a question. I know this sounds like I'm going to ask you something that I hate that it sounded like that, and I hate that I can acknowledge that it sounded like that. But do you remember the conversation you and I had with Jordan Ackridge?
That's a bit of a curveball on Mount Gordo.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, roughly.
Why didn't we trust her? And I'll give you context before you answer, so hopefully you can jog your memory. But Pixie had a conversation with me regarding Jordan Ackridge, and how she was a therapist. In my last conversation, in the few notes that I could find that I had taken, was she was a DOC therapist. This was like 7 or 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, it was intended to push her into like an actual therapist role, because she wasn't actually licensed. And then Pixie realized that Jordan is not like mentally all there. Like, she's fucking crazy. And my whole thing explaining my perception of Jordan to Pixie was, Jordan makes herself look like the hero in every situation, and she will try to jump ahead of things, because I remember in the Mount Gordo situation, the only reason she approached us is because of a phone subpoena, and she knew that we were going to see
Yeah.
her messages. And I know, from my understanding, if I recall correctly, she was getting ahead of it to prevent those messages. She was essentially trying to justify those messages, knowing that we were going to see them and try to paint them in a better light, essentially.
Yeah.
And
it
I
was with
remember.
Edgar.
So, okay, it was Edgar.
Yes.
Okay. Was this the same conversation where she mentioned how she's the only person who cared about um, uh, Chastity and no one else
Yes.
cared about
Yeah,
her?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But that's Jordan through and through. Like all she does, something can not involve her in the slightest, and she's still going to tell a story about how she's the only person who inserts something good of this atrocious situation,
You
even
might
if
be
it's got
right,
little to
yeah.
nothing to do with her. Dare I say it's like narcissistic behavior?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Jordan,
And-
by the way, one of the reasons I didn't trust Jordan was because she got fired from the receptionist role in PD for giving out information to people about police stuff. I can't remember exactly what, but she was a leaker, essentially. She was fired by... I think Connor was involved in that whole firing. And they basically put her into an interrogation room and she quit inside the interrogation room.
Was it the typical, if you don't trust me, I don't want to be here anyways, even though realistically she was positioned to get fired regardless, considering,
Yes. Yeah.
again, likely to claim that she wasn't fired and she quit, making herself look
Yeah.
better and everyone else in the situation look bad. So she was doing this thing when I was speaking with Pixie, where, well, number one, now she's essentially shit talking Pixie, blaming Pixie for anything wrong within the department, claiming that Pixie sleeps with patients and
Oh my
a
god.
bunch of different things, literally throwing everything at the fucking wall to see what sticks with Pixie, right? And all because I guess I don't know if she was ever licensed as
I don't think she was, no.
a therapist, but Pixie would do things like, or other therapists would try to schedule appointments with people, and like Jordan would specifically know these things because she was in the presence while these things were being discussed, and despite the therapist coordinating who was going to be dealing with the therapy for specific individuals, Jordan would go out of her way to call them and try to persuade them into having an appointment instead with her. And if I'm being entirely honest, I think Jordan does it for the sole purpose of having information, to then utilize that information to further position herself and weasel her way into other people's lives, knowing the bad things that have happened in their life, to take advantage of those things. That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah, so what was this? Like she was trying to get a job or something like that? Or
She was, I don't remember the exact details, but essentially Pixie said that she wants to do her like a private thing. But again, she's not licensed. And so it was almost the first time I'd ever seen Pixie like not ask me for something. I sort of like willingly was like, you know what? I avoid Jordan. I don't like Jordan as a person at all. Because I think she is the scum of the earth who hides behind a southern accent and tries to be this perfect person. But like things have started to unravel about Jordan in my encounters with her, and that's why I avoid her. I avoid her like the fucking plague. Except when Pixie had spoken to me, I was like, you know what? The next time I see Jordan, I'll look for, by the way, I look for any reason. I see Jordan, I'll fake a radio call that I have to leave. Because I don't think ever there has been a time in which she has genuinely done something for the benefit of anybody but herself. I think, again, she wants to take advantage of people who are already in a bad position or who have been in bad positions and go to therapy to deal with that as literally no other, like for no other reason aside from essentially being given what I'll equate as a cheat sheet to literally take advantage of people who go to a doctor to say, I have these problems. Except, let's say whoever she's affiliated with, because I don't think it's Jordan alone, to be very clear. I don't think any one person is capable of this. But I think she does it as a means of like putting herself in a better light, to be like the better choice in claiming that she knows how to really get to someone, right? Because if you want to know all of someone's, dirty secrets or what sets them off, what better than their fucking therapist?
Honestly, that is true. God knows who she's been giving therapy to.
So I told Pixie, you know what? The next time, because I don't even know if Jordan knows that Pixie and I are really close. Like the next time she calls me, I am gonna pick up, and I did, and I had a decent conversation with her, and I haven't spoken to her in months because I avoid her, and I remember in my notes. It was from literally 7 months prior. So I was like, Jordan, how have you been? I haven't spoken, did the whole thing to see if she would say anything about Pixie. She didn't. I mean, sort of, kind of, she did, just so that she doesn't like her.
While you talking,
nothing.
Can you drive up to the marker?
Yes.
Oh, did she say anything about Pixie?
Not directly. Well, I mean, yes and no. Well, she didn't get too far into it because I asked how the therapy stuff was. I specifically said DOC therapy because in my notes that's what I had written down. And she didn't go into detail, but maybe like vaguely hinted towards stuff. But it wasn't like full-on shit talking, which is what I was trying to like provoke from her to some degree. But again, I think the reason that happened is because if she was just shit talking openly to me, then she would probably assume that would ruin my perception of her if she doesn't already understand that my perception of her is already absolutely fucking destroyed based on prior encounters. That whole Mount Gordo conversation was really telling, because again, it was nothing more than her just trying to paint herself in a better light. It was very obvious.
Yeah. She's interesting. I mean, between me and you, she's given me some pretty good information before that kind of opened up some avenues that wouldn't have been open otherwise. But I remember having conversations with her when she said things like, nobody else does this, nobody else is a good person. that kind of thing.
It's only her. In every story she tells, in everything, it's the exact same thing. Nobody else cares. I'm the only one that cares. I'm
Yeah.
the only good person. And you want to know the crazy thing? She specifically will have like, I want to say it was one of the first times I had actually seen this. It was almost as if she had like little outbursts when not called out necessarily, but it was like she like the moment you tried to like not disprove
Take a right.
anything, but the moment you would disagree, she would have it was like the innocent southern Jordan
Here on the left.
facade was gone. What was that?
Talk up here on the left. Sorry, I kind of use your rent my advantage to get you up here. Yeah, a big one, I think. I want to read the name on it from this show, but they I hope they put them back in the right order because they weren't here for a while, and I guess they put them back.
Hmm. Yeah, hmm.
Yeah, pick that up.
What's
Grab that.
this?
I got it from Rule. It's a little little guy, a bat. You should I feel like Cody would like something like that. You go leave it for him.
Um, but
Doesn't have to be.
what if I come back later?
You can, but I'll just say this: another type of potion you will, and sometimes it's better to bite the bullet. Because if you don't do it now, you might, you know, as you do, you might get distracted or forget or anything like that. But if you don't want to do it now, there's no pressure. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. I brought him loads of stuff. Just you know, figured if he does have a connection here still, then nice to make it nice, you know.
Yeah. I about this? I promise I will come back here. Um, either later today or tomorrow morning. And if you don't see that it's there, you can call me out on it. And then we'll go together.
Okay. Okay, we got a deal. Alright. Come on, and let's get you back, old man.
Old man. It's kind of messed up. I'm doing it. I'm doing it again.
What are you doing?
I mean, even though we were leaving, it just double downing into the old man thing. I think it's just another me putting the blinders on, you know? And to be clear, I'm coming back. I promise I'm coming back. It's just um it's just my default. I don't like that.
Okay. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. What they say. No one's saying that what you want to do is easy, honey. It's gonna take time, you know?
I think it's more that even with this that you gave me, I don't know, I feel empty-handed.
Come back with something that means a bit more than that, you know? You want?
I will. And the thing is there's people who for example, you know that Lucille Hellman's back?
Is she?
Yes. Do you remember what Lucille used to do?
With
She used to do all of the
do you like patches and badges or something like that?
Yes. Anything sort of crafts related, I would say. I just I feel like I should, you know, I should get something done, considering I haven't been there.
I know Cody, and I don't think he'll mind what you bring. But it's up to you. And if you want to make it something worthwhile and meaningful to you, then do it.
Why does it
What are you looking at?
the billboard? I feel like this is I could have just gone Sonora Freeway. Or not Freeway. Sonora Road. It's like a sick joke from Cody. Hell awaits if you're having fun. Brought to you by the First Redemption Church.
Yeah, that edge up. He'll probably be mad, by the way, if you don't at least put a few, you know, like $20 with whatever present you want to bring. He was always about his money. Didn't he go through a phase where he was trying to get Pixie to be his sugar mommy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that didn't Forte do that as well?
With Pixie? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
She's just got that vibe, you know. Well,
Um,
I'm glad you talked to me about this. Listen, I'm here for you, regardless.
I know.
And, you know, if you want to talk about it more, we can talk about it, but don't feel pressured to, you know, do anything. It's got to be your own pace, sir. You know,
I knew I married the right one.
damn right you did. You ran a red light there, honey.
I've ran multiple.
I didn't see, but I saw those ones.
It's a green light. Make sure I follow the rules of the road.